Welcome everyone to ARTIVISM, the Power of Art for Social Transformation. Dr. Lake, would you like to give your congratulations to Vicki Rosenthal?
Yes, hello everyone. The selection committee, comprised of Zubin Grog, River Gorman, and Kay Giacomis, would like to congratulate Vicki Rosenthal on her spring 2024 poster design. The committee felt that the selected image represented ARTIVISM ideas. All of the submitted posters were well designed, and although not selected as the poster to represent season 7, they are posted on the ARTIVISM website with the artist names and statement. I would like to congratulate and invite Ms. Rosenthal to speak to the audience.
Hi, everyone. I am Vicki Rosenthal and the creator of Plunge Into Empathy, Self-Reflection, Integrity, Acceptance, Understanding, Equity, and Peace. And I am delighted to know about ARTIVISM. And then on top of that, to have my artwork, which I don't know any of the judges, to have been selected is a really honor and affirmation for me. And so I appreciate that. And I think that ARTIVISM is an amazing space to be in, and that it represents what we want the world to be. And that's why I continue to come to the meetings, because the amount of and the diversity of all the work and all the force of good that comes out of this movement and initiative is so powerful that I think the more that we are involved in it, the better that we are. And I can't wait to see the other artwork that has been submitted, because I know it comes from the same space. So thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak on it and to share my thoughts on ARTIVISM. Oh, and I'm supposed to introduce now. Sorry. Oh, I was just glad to get all my thoughts out. The ARTIVISM ambassador is next. And I don't know the name.
And that would be Thorin Day, who will now introduce NahShon Jackson, our presenter today.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies that my Zoom button and I are not friends right now. I'm Thorin Day, Executive Director for Network Support Services. Apologies that I am not on camera to share my awesome face, but I figured an awesome voice should suffice. I'm here to introduce an amazing individual who is not only the outreach coordinator for Network Support Services, but also an amazing confidant, an amazing friend, and an enlightening human being, a man who's received many citations, a couple from city council members and even state legislative members themselves. A man who's done over 20 years incarcerated unjustly and has not an evil bone in his body about it. And if I couldn't find a better person to embody what it is for a chance to truly change who you are and how you perceive the world around you, you couldn't have picked a better individual for this presentation. And it is my pleasure and it is my honor to introduce to you my friend, my coworker, my confidant, my powerhouse, Mr. NahShon Jackson.
Thank you, Thorin Day, my executive director and a good friend of mine who was actually there with me at the beginning when I first became a member of Network Support Services. Just to give you all a background of who I am, what I am, and what I've involved myself into becoming. So I started off very young being exposed to the criminal justice system. And during that time, I grew up in the area of Long Island, and specifically Westbury, New York. I was raised with a large, tremendous large family. I'm the seventh child of 9 born. And I wasn't born rich. I was born with a struggling mom, single mom for a minute. I mean, I did have a father, but unfortunately, my mother, my father, they kind of like had their disagreements. To this day, I still don't know what it is. But anyway, I grew up trying to find my way as a young man, as a youth, and I decided to involve myself into activities because I was driven by, materialistic things, wanting to have things in which my peers had, in which I couldn't afford. So being in an environment where, you're young and you have a lot of peers and, you want to hang out, you want to experiment. So um, I involved myself with the criminal justice for the first time in my life by making a decision to go out there and explore, selling controlled substance. And I ended up having to defend myself if someone tried to rob me. Then I shot them, ended up in prison. Story of my life, right? 17 years old. But at that time, I was in high school. I was attending Westbury High School. I was a gymnast, Westbury Dragons. I was doing everything right in the eyesight of my mom. I would come home, do my homework and everything, but she didn't know I was out there in the streets hustling, um, trying to make money the quick way so I can get the things that mom cannot afford me. So, like I said, I ended up going to prison for the first time in my life at the age of 17. And I was so much concerned about what I'm about to lose, right? And what I was about to lose is the opportunity to graduate. I was thinking about how my peers and everyone in the class of 87 were going to leave me and go to college, and I'm stuck in prison. So just by me thinking that way, it compelled me to get my GED like within the 5th month of my incarceration when I was in a county jail in Nassau County. And it's crazy because what was driving me is not want to be left behind by my peers. Like when I come home, everybody's in college and doing this great things. I'm a ex-felon. That wasn't acceptable for me. So I enrolled in the GED program, got my GED, and then when they transferred me to the custody of New York State Department of Corrections, I immediately enrolled in college. I enrolled in Skidmore University in Saratoga Springs. At that time, during 1988, when I was at Washington Correctional Facility, they was offering college programs. So I took advantage of that. I didn't graduate, but I got enough college credits and enough college exposure to come home and have some little bragging rights. Yeah, I went to school too. I wasn't just in there playing basketball and dominoes and going to, I educated myself. So I felt good. And so I came home and helping my mom. At that time, we owned the dry cleaners, and my mom was like trying to hold this thing down by herself. But I came home with the information, with the knowledge, because I also learned economics, microeconomics. I studied that. And other things that I've learned behind prison walls, I brought home and tried to organize my family. And however, in the course of me doing that, the type of person I am, always trying to help people, right? So there came a time where I had a friend who I grew up with in my community. He was on parole, but unbeknownst to me, my family, he was doing things that I didn't know about as far as, criminal involvement. And so one day he actually engaged in some type of criminal activity in which it required for him to be placed under surveillance, whereas he was working with me against my mom's will because I had my mom to hire him because the parole officer was going to violate him. And so I didn't want that to happen because he couldn't find a job. So my mom's, I kind of twisted her arm. She hired him. The next thing I know, he gets into a situation. I'm bored in it because you got two parolees. You can't have two parolees together because automatically one commit a crime, you're automatically going to be a suspect regardless. They're going to arrest you, and that's what happened because he was going back and forth to my mother's cleaners in a stolen car, and I got into the car, and I didn't know the car was stolen because he informed my family that his father bought it from an auction for him. So I didn't know that they had him under surveillance at that time. So when they arrested him, I got arrested as well because he told these guys that he worked for me. When they found out I was on parole, that was it. I never saw the daylight again in 1992, November 24th. That's when they removed me from the community without being charged. I was never indicted. I was never convicted for murder. 2.5 years I stayed in Suffolk County fighting until they came back with a jury verdict, and I couldn't believe it. I passed out. I was hospitalized, woke up for like I got shot in the arm with something, and next thing I know, I went upstate, and this time I didn't focus on academics. No, I wish I could have. My main focus was on law library because I wanted to exonerate myself. I couldn't afford an attorney. So my programming for 25 years was law library. I also wanted to experience how I can be able to serve the general prison population effectively. Again, service. So what I did, I ran for the inmate liaison committee as a rep. And basically the ILC, which is the abbreviation for our inmate liaison committee, their responsibility, each member, is to make sure that their respective blocks are fully represented. Whenever they have issues, we bring those issues to the administration and see whether or not we can reach a common ground, and whether or not the administration can take the necessary action to deal with these grievances that these respective different companies have, being represented by the individuals who they have elected. And also, I got the experience of being able to sit and listen at grievance hearings by becoming an elected grievance representative. That allowed me to sit down with two staff members, two incarcerated individuals, and the person who's grieved. So I had the liberty to sit and listen as an arbitrator, and we help come up with resolutions, whereas both this administration be satisfied as well as the grievant become satisfied. And it wasn't easy. You know, I was called, out, you helping the administration, you a sellout, all these things I had to, I had to bear in mind because, he's in prison. These guys are murderers. They calling you a sellout. So you got to be careful. But I took that risk because in my heart, I really wanted to protect, these individuals, their rights in the face of so much oppression. Even myself being incarcerated had experienced, I mean, I was thrown in a box. The box is known as special housing unit, which is isolation. And I don't know if you guys are keeping abreast of the legislation that's being passed right now regarding, holding, well, basically having legislature to declare that housing individuals in solitary confinement for a certain amount of time is unconstitutional. I wish that type of decision was made back then because I served a lot of time in SHU, and it definitely has a traumatic effect, because they put you in cells with another person who you don't even know for 24 hours a day, and you're afraid to leave that cell because all your personal property, like your personal mail from your family, is subject to be, your privacy. You don't have no privacy. So when you're going to visit, that person's may be going through your property. You have no locker. You can't secure your property. But most importantly, I was even in a situation where they placed me in segregation in the cell for 24 hours with people who have mental disabilities, mental health issues. You're talking about post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar, I experienced a situation where I was pulled down from the top bunk onto the concrete because the person had an episode. He didn't realize that he was acting aggressive towards me. And I had to bang on the door because I didn't want to hurt him. It was my belief that they put people in that same cell for that purpose, right? Because at the end of the day, my opinion, based upon my experience, Department of Corrections really do not care about human life at all. Because if they did, they would have all these legislations trying to, correct these wrongs. But I went through it. Amazingly, I went through it without resentment, which is very hard for people not to have who've been subject to so much of inhumane treatment and most importantly have to serve 25 years for a crime they didn't commit. But the reason why I didn't have any resentment is because I learned that when you take space and you take time, which is nothing but voidness, you fill it up with something. So I took space and time and I filled it up with determination. I always used to say positive energy activates creative energy. PEACE, peace. Positive energy activates creative energy. So I used to quote these things and fill my head up with all the stuff, whereas everything else be start becoming an illusion to me. It's like it's not real. When my father came to see me back in 1999, he said, "Son, don't look at this prison situation as a prison. Look at it as a university." Right? I really didn't. It really didn't set in my mind at that time what my father was telling me because I just wanted to get out of there. I said, "Dad, I ain't a lawyer. Help me get out of here. I understand what you're saying, but I want to get out of here." But my subconscious mind allowed me to remember and pay attention to what my father was saying. And I started paying more attention. So I utilized prison as a university to enhance my growth and development. I learned things I never knew in my life. And prison actually prepared me for the next stage of my life. And I realized how you look at it. It doesn't really have to be a prison. It's whatever you make it. That's what it becomes, even in negativity. So I ended up at Otisville 2015. And that's my first time ever being exposed to a medium security correctional facility where individuals are in the dorm together. It's like a community, it's a residential community. Never been exposed to anything like that behind prison walls the first time. But how I became aware of that in Otisville, when you get there as a, they call it reception. Yes, they call it reception. So that's when network representatives will come down during the orientation and they will allow you to know what programs that are available. So when I heard about network is a chance to change. And I was like, a chance to change. Do I need, because automatically it makes you reflect on whether or not you really need change. Because at that moment, I was like, okay, I almost got it together. I'm ready, I'm going to come home, become a lawyer, because all the law that I've learned from in the law library and litigating pro se, I'm ready to come home and open up a law firm so I can help those sisters and brothers that I left behind. That was my intentions. But being in network, I didn't realize that my whole course, my whole everything would change. It's all about change. Network presented me a chance to reflect on myself, whereas it was safe space. The people, murderers, robbers, all type of individuals have these offenses is in one environment together, living in a communal style, whereas we respect each other, we help each other. And then when I realized what this was all about, network is a positive environment for human development in a caring community where individuals can help themselves and each other. I saw that. I was a part of that. And those community members in that dorm in Otisville, They was programmed to work together, literally programmed to work together, to establish and maintain positive growth, because it's a growth-filled environment. Who does that? Individuals who we anticipate, look forward to come from the outside in, fellowshipping with us, giving us the hope that we need. Feeling this in this environment, this network environment, with so much positive energy that the outcome has to be positive, which bring us to number one, RG. I'm not good with the slide, y'all, so this is my first time doing a slide presentation, so just bear with me. Number one would be, not number two, or number one. I just want to give everyone an idea of how I transition into network. So as you see, I was expounding on my incarceration, me being out there selling drugs and all that, that led me to my first incarceration. And then at the age of 22, I was wrongfully accused. And as you can see, when network came in, it came at a point, it came in my life, network came in my life at an important stage of my life. And I say that because after being in that program for 2 years, I never knew that I would be transforming into an officer of network in the community. That came as a result of what you put in is what you get out. So when I was in there, I went from a regular member to a group leader, co-coordinator, to the residential coordinator. From the residential coordinator, being asked by my former boss, would you like to work for a network? Fine. And then next month after my release, I'm the outreach coordinator for network. Not knowing what outreach meant, I didn't, my mind was focused on coming home and starting a law firm. I didn't realize that I would be part of network in the community. So I was excited. And I realized what I shared with you guys, like, me being a part of the IOC, grievance committee, all that was relevant because it requires you to organize yourself and being able to communicate and have clients and hold hearings and talk and conversate. All these things prepared me for this task. Purpose. I learned life is all about purpose. You have to find your purpose and everything will fall right in place. So my thing was, how can I make a contribution to humanity by helping people to transition and resettle back in their community in order for the state of New York to benefit, right? RG was number two. From our 96% of recidivism, like 96%, nobody goes back out of 100%, meaning that we have a 4% recidivism rate of incarceration. So as I promised Thorne, as I promised former executive director Ann Williams, we're going to get it down to 0 on my watch. When I came in, Thorne, what was it, Thorne? Before the 4%, where we was at? 8%?
8%, sir. 8%.
Correct, 8%. So now where we at, Thorne?
4%, sir.
Oh, gee, I think that's number 3. Slide 3. Yes, there we go. Right. This is hard work. Thorne is the expert in this. What he does, he can take this and he can show, I believe, the president how well we are able to, provided we give him the resources, how we can make this thing effective across the whole United States. Because we have the platform, we have the structure, and I'm not taking credit. I'm just adding on to something that is great. That's what we're supposed to, right? We're supposed to add on. Positive energy activates creative energy. So learning that, It's just about adding on to something great. And network is great. It's been great to me. And it has been great to Delphi University too. Ask Christina Zaccarini, well, she's not here, but it has been great to network. I mean, to Delphi, whereas we now have students coming from Adelphi interning with network. It's called the network effect. It's inclusive. It's not just designed for justice impacted individuals. It's designed for all of those who would like to assist justice impacted individuals to make that transition back into our community. That's what network is about. We focus on behavioral change and confront attitudes which are destructive to ourselves and the community. We focus on that. I'm like the outcome of that focus, so to speak. And I'm not saying this, as far as being egotistic or anything like that. I don't even like telling my story. I'd rather for other people to do so. It makes me feel good that I'm doing something right. If I can hear someone confirming that, thank you, NahShon, for helping me doing this, I feel good because I'm fulfilling my purpose, right? Because when you know your purpose, and as you traveling and going through life and your purpose being fulfilled, is the most beautiful thing that a human being can ever experience. Fulfilling purpose. And part of my purpose in life, I have recognized that when I have given a chance to change. But what I mean by a chance to change, because life gives us chances all the time. Everywhere you go is a chance to change. But network allows you to reflect first whether or not you need that change. Because it gives you that space to contemplate on self, to determine, because like I went there not really thinking that I need a change at all. But network expose you. It allows you to know what you need to change, because those guys, they got things set up there that it allows you to know whether or not you need change or not. It just has a magical effect, and you really can't explain it. It's just what it is. Network is. It's called the network effect. And so I feel it's an honor for me to even be here, to even have this conversation with you all about network. And I'm just hoping that one day that the world could become aware of the work that we're doing. And I'm really counting on Adelphi University to help us in that respect, in which y'all have been doing a great job as far as this forum right here, ARTIVISM, because it allows your audience, RG, to see what else is in store under this magnificent concept. Because life is a concept, bunch of ideas merged together to see what beauty can come out of it. Just like we was talking about that artwork, take a dive. I love that. I love that artwork because it has so many different, like I was sharing, like, how the phoenix coming out, but it's like the reverse. You're going in and the fire is still up here. Normally you're coming out of the ashes, then you see the fire, but you're going back down deep. I love that. You're drilling. Drill, baby, drill for knowledge. But I love you all, because love is the highest elevation of understanding. That love is the only thing that strikes the balance. Love is that thing that allows us to know that everything is going to be all right. So love is something that keep us bonded to that understanding, so that we can be able to move together, healing where healing is needed. And healing can be expressed through art, I believe. And even this is a form of art expression, what I'm doing. So, anybody have any questions? Do I have any more slides? RG, yes. So my role, here's my role. As you can see, Thorin introduced me as an outreach coordinator, but he forgot to tell you that he promoted me to the director of community outreach. And I feel honored that he did that because it's just part of the measure of my growth. I've been with Network now for 7 years, committed myself to this. And I guess this is part of the reward. But it's not, I feel it doesn't stop here, right? It's not even about titles. It's about being able to do the work and just becoming more creative and just taking things on a whole new level. It's all about levels. Just take it on a whole new level. So this is why I invite Adelphi, continue to send those interns over here. Bring them to us. We'll make them. We'll make stars for you. Like Jenna, she's gonna be our star. So with that said, if there's any questions, my life is an open book. Don't be afraid. Just ask me whatever. Floor is open.
Awesome. Sean, we appreciate you and your share. I'd also like to thank everybody for being on the call today, for being an Artivist Day. And I want you to know that next Monday, February 26th, you can be a part of an interactive discussion with an inspiring Latinx storyteller, Miss Jessica Camarona, and her creative team. There's a playwright, Diane Curry Sam, and a composer, Jill Uran, and you get to explore how Olivia O, the musical, right, how we can share welcoming the stranger with theater, music, and storytelling. For more information on this and all of the series, past and upcoming events, please go to the website www.adelphi.edu/Artivism. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram at Artivism for Shared Humanity, or simply Google Artivism and Adelphi. Our YouTube channel is Artivism for Shared Humanity. Also, if you'd like to get more involved in the upcoming invitations, please contact the Artivism team. I would like to know if there are any questions for my great guy, NahShon. Yes, my director of outreach. Things move so quickly, sir. You are so correct. Or any of the rest of the Artivism team, please don't be shy. Raise your hand. It is not many of us on this call, so I'm expecting many hands to go up. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time today. It was a pleasure to be with you, NahShon, as well, and all.
Love you, bro.
Mr. Day, did you ever work in radio? You sound like a radio announcer. I love it. Or a sportscaster.
Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, this one's on the house.
Okay. Any questions or comments for NahShon? He's here to speak to us, to answer any questions. Like he said, his life is an open book. I know when you speak to my students in class over the years, they are a little surprised at your calm demeanor, your outlook, right? And always ask the question, why aren't you bitter, right? Why aren't you angry? How do you handle that?
Don't have time. Don't have time. I mean, you have a plan and it involves action. You got to put action to it. So I mean, you got to focus like on that plan in order to activate it. It's called a plan of action. So you can't effectively carry out your plan of action with bitterness because bitterness is energy, right? It has a effect on your body, it has effect on your thinking, it has effect on your personality. We people, we're energetic people. Like we have an aura. A person know you better. You don't have to say nothing. They know you better. You can feel the bitterness, right? I don't have time to be bitter. Like I don't have time to have resentment because of what they done to me. Because my pop reminded me that, son, you have to use this for the purpose for to serve as a university, and that's what I've done. I educated myself. It placed me where I'm at right now, and the reason why I'm able to get where I'm at right now, absent bitterness. I mean, I could be bitter, right? But I choose not to.
There is a question: how did you handle the setbacks that you experienced? How did you handle the setbacks?
Keep trying. Keep moving forward. Positive energy activates creative energy. You think, you become, you think, you do. If I think negative, if I sit there and just sit in that, I'll go nowhere. Time is not waiting for no one.
What communities does network services or neighborhoods does network services serve? Is it just Long Island? Is it the Bronx? Is it the tri-state area? How far and wide do they go?
Well, when I started off with network, we was only operate in the jurisdiction of the 5 boroughs. Since then, um, I've been like stepping out a little bit. Dawn like, you sure? I'm like, yes, boy. I mean, I got network on my neck wherever I go. Look, we in Adelphi, we in Garden City, boss man. You know, just wherever I go is network. It is, right? Wherever I go. And so we're depending on our funding. If we get enough funding, we have the ability to begin to start stretching outside of our jurisdiction. But we have partners. We partners with people in Westchester. We partner with people like Adelphi and Long Island. So we have inch by inch moving outside of the jurisdiction of the 5 boroughs.
And I do want to point out very briefly here that you are not only teaming up with Adelphi University, but also ARTIVISM, the initiative, which is an independent entity, which also then connects you with Gottesman Libraries at Teachers College, Columbia University, and
Yes.
Sing for Hope. So
Yes.
you are very well connected here, right? With ARTIVISM and all of its sponsors. We have John Carlo. Have you ever felt resentful at any point, and how did you overcome it once embracing peace?
Well, when I was going through what I was going through at the very beginning of my incarceration, of course you're gonna have resentment because you felt you've been done unfairly, right? And at that time I was still young. I believe as you get older with time, things begin to change because your focus changes. When your focus changes, a lot of that, you don't really have time for that resentment. There's no room for that resentment. Um, Even so, having that resentment and allowing it to be a part of my life, the outcomes were never the way I really wanted them. So I had to sacrifice, right? Sacrifice meaning let go certain things that's holding you back from moving forward. And resentment was one of them. So that's why I don't have no resentment. It holds you back from personal experience.
Torin, question. Torin with a great voice.
Yes, I'd like to take a stab at that answer as well. Simply because I bear witness to NahShon often. And as I led in this conversation, he's a great confidant. He's a friend of mine. He's also my spiritual advisor. He's not my tax advisor, right? I don't go see NahShon to figure out my taxes. But I do go see NahShon when I'm struggling with point of view of my spirituality, when I'm not feeling grounded, when I feel like there's too much in the world and I can't figure out who I need to be in that moment. NahShon is a great compass because he is so very grounded in the direction and where he's going and who he is and who he wants to become. I bear witness to the man never falter. Sometimes he struggles, but he never falters from this straight.
Recording in progress.
That was a mean echo. So I just wanted to let you know, like, he's speaking to peace and he's reminding you, he's saying it over and over again because this is NahShon. If you ask him another question about how he's guided or what is his biggest avenue or you can ask him anything, right? How does he deal with family matters? How does he deal with an aggravating boss who sometimes forgets his title and overburdens him with 1,000,001 things because he's still a brother, he's still an uncle, right? He's so many things to so many people, but he's never not NahShon in my own eyes or his. And it's an amazing thing to be in witness of. So I just wanted to share that as well.
Thank you, boss. Appreciate that.
I'd like to take a second to thank you first for your presentation, for taking the time also of being here and sharing with us your perspective in life, because it's very refreshing. And my kind of like common question, right, will be along the lines of, how would you advise someone that might be retaining that story because of perhaps various sociological perspectives that might pop up, right? And I don't mean it just like from your story, but so many various stories, and people just hold on to their story, right? They don't share it. And at one point, you said it was difficult for you to share. Maybe my question is, how did you break that? And now, thanks to breaking that barrier, you're here sharing with us and enlightening and inspiring so many.
Well, I'm feeling like as if I'm struggling to tell my story. That's like Thorin. That's why I love it. Like, you see, he is on the outside looking in. And people on the outside looking in, they just remind me of what I am, what I'm doing, and that's what inspired me. But because I had a speech impediment, bro. I mean, I used to stutter, like, and it took me a while to get over that. And I still have that problem, but I'm confident now because it's the idea. You know, it's the idea that you're trying to convey for a person who can see in order to understand where you're coming from. And I may not be, I feel I'm not the most articulate person in the world, but I feel that I can convey my message, but I just don't feel like I'm real good in telling my story, but I just do the best that I can. But I love other people like Thorne, what he just said, that inspires me to move forward. Me is like, I'm just talking about myself. It doesn't inspire me talking about myself.
I would agree with that statement, ladies and gentlemen. NahShon is way too humble to tell his own story, which is why you must encourage him to keep coming on to these spaces and encouraging him to craft his story, especially trying to make it a little faster for us over here. In a 15-minute. But he's an
That's
amazing
what.
individual, right? Like if you look at NahShon, he's a testament of courage. Sure, I come on, I sound great, and I speak very fluently. Again, I get more practice than NahShon does. And I often like to hear myself in the shower, right? So there's a difference between he and I. I bear witness to his courage. The first time he flew on the plane, he was with this
Oh
guy
yeah.
in an airport before in his life. And during a time where being in an airport is extremely traumatic. For those who even fly, take your shoes off, get over here, prod this, walk through that. And from somebody leaving an institution where being checked, searched, prodded, I was nervous for NahShon, right? I was hoping that he didn't spaz out in the middle of the ATF line and I had to go figure out how to get this guy off the plane, right? But he did amazing. He was enthralled. He had the window seat. Again,
Yeah, there and back.
what you need to do, even when you're too scared sometimes to do it. And I watch him do it often. He stumbles through his speech, but he gets through it, right? So if you're looking for another way to do it, that's the way I would prescribe it. It's just to go out head first, feet first, whichever way you're popping out that womb, and jump right on in. So thank you for again, let me chime in, Sean. I appreciate you.
Another inspiring moment. You know, I'm serious. It's like it's inspiring for me to hear people talk about me because it's a confirmation I'm doing the right thing.
May I say one thing? And
Yes.
it's just the way I look on life. And if I can say this without crying, this will be a miracle. Mm. I think we all have our place in doing good things in the world. And once we find that space, we find our power. And like relating it to me and my space and how in my life and what hardships are not, you know, all the things that created me in order to find where I need to be in the world in order to get my voice out and my energy and my actions is where I need to be. But when fortunately, I get to cross paths with people like you, NahShon, whose paths and the energy and the power and the actions that that have made you who you are humble me so great, because it's like I can understand and you know, the actions that you do because I'm on the same path. But to know where you come from and what you do, everybody has their place, and that where you feel, where the space that you fill is someplace that is very honorable. And I'm so happy to be on this Zoom presentation today in order to feel and know what where you know what you do, and to hear your story. So thank you.
Wow. I mean, you don't see me crying because I learned how to cry on the inside, but I appreciate that. It's touching, man. It's moved me. That's what I'm saying. Like things like that is, I learned how to cry on the inside. I appreciate that. Thank you. Very touching. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carolina, would you like to do your takeaway if we don't have any other questions?
Sure. If anybody comes up with another comment or so, please do so. We also have the chat portion of it still. We still have some minutes to go for this inspiration to continue. Here in ARTIVISM, we have the tradition of coming to a conclusion for each presentation with a key takeaway. Therefore, this is our question to you, Mr. NahShon. What will be your key takeaway for action from your presentation today?
I would say a chance to change. Life gives us that opportunity to change. And that change comes from reflecting inside yourself, knowing who you are, your purpose. That's what this is all about. Purpose. Me finding my purpose in prison and transitioning from prison in our community, and just being around you guys from this listening and the feedback, it confirms it, right? My purpose being here, my purpose being before you. So what I draw from all this is purpose. It's purpose. A chance to change will allow you to understand your purpose.
Just a little bit more, NahShon, if you want, if you'd like to share, if somebody would like to connect with network services or with you, how could they get involved? What are some of the connections they could make? How can they, best maybe serve network and other individuals like you?
Well, I have in mind with Jenna. Jenna's going to help me recruit. Jenna's going to be the one who actually coordinate, so to speak. I'm seasoning her. She's a great woman. I'll tell you, she's going to help me reach out to the campus and get individuals involved who would like to be involved with network, and to bring them in to our family, our world, to see how we service justice impacted individuals and how they too can interact to get a better understanding of how my story, their story, other story, and they can draw from that, you know. In fact, you know, Jenna, when she was in the office, because she comes there on Friday, she met one of our network alumni, and they was conversing for over an hour, and she was drawing from that. Same thing with the students. If they want to become part of network internship program, I'm trying to set it up where Jenna will be that point person, and hopefully she can have a few of you guys out there who want to pursue your criminal justice career. Because network is about making stars. So you're going to become a star in respect to having your resume, because the resume is very important, letting people know in advance that, listen, you got an opportunity to experience firsthand what it is and how to help formerly incarcerated individuals transition back in our community.
And Mr. Day?
Yes, yeah, I'd just like to just put more icing on that response for you, NahShon, because you did an amazing job, sir, once again. And I do believe you and Jenna are going to do awesome work. But I think that the 12 of us here on this call could maybe get some direct impact, a direct takeaway, right? And one of the things that I know that I need help with is just bringing more awareness to the work that NahShon does. And I believe if the 12 of us, minus NahShon and myself, that makes 10, right? The 10 of us could go on to our social media, our Instagram, because our Facebook is shut down. Don't know why, right? We're not out here posting crazy stuff. But again, looking for more intern support so that we can get our social media way more active. But if the 10 of you can go on to our Instagram and just find a post, like it, share it with a friend, right? And ask them to find a post that they like and share it with a friend. That would be an amazing impact that you can make today in the process of me building up to our June 1st gala, which will happen in the Bronx and in person, our third annual gala. Having that social media presence as I go out and I make requests to contributors and to funders really does boost the work that I'm trying to do, right? It brings more validity to the statements that I make, right? Because unfortunately, these are small circles we work in. And I understand that everybody doesn't have $1 million to toss to a nonprofit to make it an amazing nonprofit. But your likes, your clicks, and your follows do make a big difference. So if you can go out and do that for me today, that'd be a great takeaway for me.
Yes, that's Network Support Services on Instagram. All one word, Network Support Services. And just to let you all know, Jenna is a senior at Adelphi University in the Honors College, and she's working with NahShon on her honors thesis.
And she's doing an amazing job.
She is doing, NahShon,
Yes.
everyone who you've ever worked with does an amazing job.
No, but this is the
And
first
that
time
has to
that
do a lot with NahShon as much as those who work with you. You bring out the best in people.
but Jen is special because I never had an intern from Adelphi that worked with me like that. I never.
Yeah.
So this is the first time. And like I said, day one, when she stepped in the office, she created a spreadsheet for me that's going to help me significantly. I'm like, I've been trying to do this for the longest. She just came in, as soon as she stepped in the door, she created this spreadsheet that have a listing of all the different organizations and businesses that she's now contacting to find out what type of services that they're offering so that we can refer our individuals, our clients to these entities. And so it's a beautiful thing. She's godsend to me.
Mm.
So if like a takeaway, that's my takeaway. Like we can get her to start bringing network back to the campus because she's a senior. So imagine the young coming in, and she has these brilliant minds ready to take on criminal justice, issues, and she can bring them in.
Okay, any other questions or comments? We're all good? Thank you so much, NahShon. Thank you to Doran Day, Mr. Day with the great voice, and to Vicky for your beautiful poster, and to Carolina and everyone here with us today, near and from afar. Thank you to Dr. Stephanie Lake, our sponsors, Adelphi University, Gottesman Libraries Teachers College, Jennifer Govan, right? And Sing for Hope, Monica Muniz, and Camille Zamora. Thank you, everyone. We hope to see you here next week or one of our other presentations. Be well, and thank you so much, NahShon. We'll see you soon.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank
Be
you.
well, everyone.
Yes. Good
Bye.
artwork, Vicky. I love it. I love it. Make sure you get it copywritten.
Thank you. I'll give you permission to use it.
I love it.
I appreciate your comments on it. It meant a lot.
Thank you.
It gave more depth in it than I'd even heard anybody else express.
Wow.
Thank you.